People in parts of Western Africa and southwestern Asia were the first to realize that the dark silvery rocks poking out of the earth could be worked into tools and weapons, sometime around 1500 BC, evidence shows. The metal was probably discovered there by accident when some ore was dropped into a fire and cooled into wrought iron, historians think. The Eureka moment didn't reach Europe for another 500 years, traveling slowly north and west through Greece, Italy, Central Europe and finally to the British Isles with the spread of the famous Celtic tribes. The Celts diffused iron technology over much of the continent through warfare, where their victory was assured due to the circumstances' strength of iron weapons. Perhaps not the most peaceful of cultural exchanges, but where the technology did travel, it caught on fast. Iron made life a lot easier in those days, when just living to the age of 45 was a feat. By that time, much of Europe had settled into small village life, toiling the soil with bronze and stone tools. One of the social issues faced by the state of Alaska is the lack of mental and emotional well-being of the native Alaskans. It is very unfortunate that many of the Native Americans are living under poor conditions throughout the country. In the cases of Native Alaskans, even virtually entire villages are suffering from a lack of mental and emotional well-being, which includes continuing poor physical and mental health. Alcohol abuse, domestic violence, homicides, and suicides are frequent among them, which of course, lead to families falling apart. It is tragic to see that many children are abused and not educated properly. As a matter of fact, the children themselves are abusing alcohol and other chemicals, and the rate is increasing over the time. Since parents are suffering from mental illnesses and alcohol abuse, they can't take care of their children, so many children are being taken care of by others or simply neglected. Therefore, we can conclude that Alaskan natives are losing hold of their communities, cultural identities, and most importantly, their childhoods. So you can see how serious the issue is. Plus, rather than making a living for themselves, they are depending on public services and subsidies. They have lost control of and responsibility for their economy and governing institutions.
As demand for food and competition for land rises, it is vital that crop losses are limited. Chemical protection has provided effective control of crop losses in recent years. Alongside chemical fertilizers and improved crop genetics, it has helped to increase crop yields dramatically over the last 6 decades. However, there is now a need to develop complementary alternatives, and researchers from the Rural Economy and Land Use Program have been exploring the potential of, and barriers to, alternative pest management approaches. Alternatives to chemical pesticides are needed because overuse of them leads to pesticide resistance and affects biodiversity and water quality, says Dr. Alistair Bailey. Heightened EU regulations are also leading to the withdrawal of many pesticide products. Hence, complementary approaches are required to reduce use and preserve the efficacy of those valuable pesticides that are still available to sustain food production systems. A second focal area is student discipline. For some teachers, mindfulness apps have worked both ways, hitting the mark in terms of behavior, but others have been a mixed fortune. Some teachers report that disruptive behaviors decline and positive social behaviors increase, and others state that these are not so evident in all students. The findings from these results are suggestive that mindfulness applications may be more appropriate as a student-specific intervention that is bolstered by other forms of interventions. Qualitatively, in urban schools, teachers' training in mindfulness techniques was found to be associated with being more effective in the implementation of these practices in behavior management than other teachers without such training, hence a higher level of success. Also, teachers have highlighted the significance of continued professional development in order to initiate mindfulness applications. This is a way the teachers will be able to be trained on how to implement the mindfulness practices and what are the students' needs. Knowledge on mindfulness practices can help teachers to create positive and nurturing classroom climates partnered with collaboration of collaborative for academic, social and emotional learning (CASEL). Therefore, teachers who are knowledgeable in mindfulness practices are placed in a position to help in developing. The developmental area specified for this activity deals with improvement of tutoring initial training teachers on class and teaching manners. The appropriate facet that I shall as a mentor focus is the effective approach to cheering the teachers by personalizing how best to support them and enhancing the formats of our professional development meetings. This focus is particularly relevant given the current responsibilities of the role, which include instructional leadership management responsibilities and presenting faculty development sessions geared towards enhancing instructional practices in teaching and promoting a positive work culture. They should involve implementing professional development workshops that enhance the knowledge level of teachers and implement the introduction of new practices in the teaching methodologies. For example, the teaching about differentiation in the recent lesson equipped teachers with numerous ideas on how to address students' needs.